You've landed on The Substance. I'm your host, Philip Marinello, and we are so happy to have you. Whether it's your first time or your 194th time, welcome to the show. Here at The Substance, we're looking to have conversations that help us all better appreciate goodness, truth, and beauty. Previous guests include folks like David Gate, artist Stephanie Stalvey, Brian Recker, Tyler Huckabee, Courtney Ellis, and multi-hyphenate artist Propaganda. We have a wonderful library of almost 200 official episodes, and I think maybe some more in there. If I look at the numbers, I'm pretty sure it's over 200 with all the feed drops and bonuses. But officially, we have almost 200 wonderful episodes with a wide variety of guests, a lot of wonderful films, and some really wonderfully smart, talented people who are doing good things in their community. So if you're new to the show, check those out. This week, we have editor Dave. If you're a longtime listener, Dave was the editor and partner. He's been on for a few of these check-in episodes, and I believe we've done a couple of interviews together. My memory is not what it used to be. The whole stress of living in a fallen empire, failing empire, really is kind of taking it out of me sometimes for some of the day-to-day things. But Dave's been a part of the show for a long time. Invited him back, talk a little bit about what's going on in the world, what's going on in the show, and look forward ahead into the future. So stay tuned for that. If you love the show and you haven't done it yet, a wonderful way to support us is to subscribe or follow the show on your podcast app of choice. And after you've listened to a couple episodes, if you like us, hit the 5-star button. And if you're listening on Apple, if you would write us a review, it really helps people find the show. And we appreciate everybody who does that. I wanted to give these a shout at the beginning. I may echo them again at the end, but I've been having a lot of fun guesting on other wonderful shows here recently. Friend of the show, past guest multiple times, future guest of the show, Marta Georgievich. Her Rewind and Revive, I joined her for Malpertwee. That was a wonderful discussion. Love the film, love the Radiance box set release. Had a great time over there. Go check that out. Also, with Marta, went on the Movie Draft podcast to do a Criterion Collection draft. That was so much fun. Longtime listeners know Criterion Collection. Real big for me. Had a great time. Ended up winning it handily. So if you voted for me in my picks, spoiler alert, go listen to the show if you like. It was so much fun. But thank you to everybody who voted. You can also hear me on episode 3 of the TVs and Us Sopranos season 2. So Sopranos season 2, episode 3, that came out a little bit ago. I think this week, episode 6 comes out. I'm pretty sure I'm on that one as well. And then at the end of this week, 70mm Rejected had a wonderful conversation on the Monster Squad with some of my pals from the VHS Village. That was Dave and Jesse, or Graboid, from the Blind Buys podcast. Had a really good time doing that as well. And I have a few others that are coming out in the future, but wanted to shout those out at the top. And I've got a few others that are in the canon done. I'm not sure when they're coming out, but have done those all recently. Those were a lot of fun. If you want to, go check those out. Now, without further ado, here's my conversation with editor Dave about the state of things and the road to 200. So I don't know how much of that stuff that we've already said we're going to keep, but here we are. Welcome back, editor Dave. Listeners, if you are newer here and you've heard me mention editor Dave in the past, this is Dave. Welcome back, man.
It is good to be back. I appreciate you reaching out, and yeah, happy to be back. It's always fun when I see the Substance pop up into my podcast feed, and it's good to be on this side of the microphone.
It feels so good. Honestly, that's another thing, that I was considering with going to the seasons model. I have guested a ton in the last 2 or 3 months on other shows. And it's so much friggin' fun. I love it. Like, I prepare, because especially, I think 100% of them have all been media related.
Right.
Mostly film. And then I did the Movies and Us and TV and Us gals. I did a number of episodes on the TV's in us upcoming season. I think this spring on Sopranos season 2, I did several episodes of that, and I
Nice.
just love guesting. It's so
Yeah.
much fun. I had a banger podcast drop yesterday or today, and as of recording tomorrow morning, another banger is coming out that actually might lead me to some like more reviewing and writing opportunities. So like I
Okay.
really
Yeah.
do like, especially kind of as we progress and grow on this journey, like other like opportunities open for me to guest on other shows that might open up other cool doors. So,
Yeah.
and I only have so much time on my
Uh,
hands.
yep. It is a limit. And we very much live in the attention economy, but like when you're on the content creation side of that, like there's only that's a lot of work to get people's attention.
And I mean, I love what I do. I get to do it with some very cool people week in and week out, but I'm the only consistent one. I'm the
Yeah.
like
Right. Right.
I love sharing it when other people share it. Like I get to be on a lot of cool spheres and radars because of the guests, but um as I don't have an editor or a co-host at the moment, that is that's the challenge, and we're not getting paid the big bucks yet, and I don't know if we ever will be. Like I would love
Yeah. Yeah.
to have the thing where it's like, oh, 'cause some podcasts make stupid money, but the only way to do that is to be a celebrity, and I don't
Yeah.
want that. I would
No.
just love to make enough to pay somebody, to pay 1 or 2 people an appropriate wage to, like, do good things to take stuff off my plate.
Yeah. The editing, the grunt work, if you will. But
Yeah,
yeah, well, summer of 27. That's when I should be graduated.
there you
Maybe I'll
go.
have more time then.
Or maybe pay my wife because she makes us a lot of great content, for free so far, and I know she has, a part-time day job where she gets paid a lot of money to make cool things, and I haven't got to pay her very much yet, so well, yeah, man, good to have you. Um, a lot going on in the world right now. I thought for this episode, kinda like we've done some before, this is January, we're kind of at the beginning of a new year,
hmm
interesting times we're living in. And we're close to 200, so I just thought a check-in might be a time for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, interesting is one way to put it. I saw floating around social media the other day, somebody said, I need a Bluey episode on emotional regulation during a fascist takeover. And yeah,
Yeah.
could I use, I need uh, some Bluey advice on how to handle what's happening in our world right now.
Yeah, Bandit, teach us how to parent through lit like, it's insane, and it's been crazy for the last decade since the whole Trump escalator thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the world, the United States, kinda went down the path we went down. But, this feels different and kinda feels inevitable in some ways that we would eventually get here, but now we are here,
Yeah.
and those of us with, day jobs and access to the internet have to somehow
Uh-huh.
do our job while also trying not to get too distracted by civil rights getting violated and people getting harassed and murdered in the street.
Yeah, it is wild. And like, I don't know if you saw that. I guess it was at the Golden Globes, Mark Ruffalo interview on the red carpet where
Yeah, he's like
hard,
one of like the 3 celebrities that are saying something.
he's like, it's hard to pretend that like everything's normal. And like his normal is way different than our normal.
It is indeed.
But there is a shared, it's hard to pretend. And like I'm I'm a pastor, I'm a father, I'm a grad student,
How old are the kids
and
now, if you don't mind
yeah,
sharing?
12, 8, and 6, almost 7. And I didn't say that just for the 6-7 reference, but
Thankfully, I shared this. We already mentioned Courtney Ellis on here. I was messaging her about the book, and she said something about her kids doing that. My oldest the other day informed me that, Dad, that is so old. We don't do that anymore. And I was like, oh wow.
yeah.
He's in first grade already being like, this joke is played out.
It's funny because my younger two, they are like, so my wife's a teacher, third grade. And so she hates that whole 6-7 thing because her kids just drive her crazy with it. And so my younger two have like taken her side. So if like me or my oldest say it, and like we're not, I don't think we're kind of ironically self-aware,
Sure.
like when we say it, but they'll all like glare at us, the three of them versus like me and my oldest. Uh, but as a youth pastor, I can say I do think the change in calendar does seem to have like not, if not killed it, dampened it a lot, which I'm grateful for.
Were you one of the people who I told about my introduction to that phenomena?
I have not heard.
So, super brief. Obviously, like, I have young kids. Both of them are in school, but I'm not on TikTok, and I am probably more online than I should be. But it's mostly Instagram. Like, Threads has kinda gotten cooler, but it's also a meta app that I don't wanna try to spend a lot of time on. And Blue Sky just isn't as cool as Twitter or Threads. I
Right.
don't know. We need new social media or none. But anyway, hadn't heard about it, and I had, like, an event at my kid's school, and before I took him there, like, I gave them dinner, and I just threw on, like I made myself a quick snack, and I watched the newest, South Park episode
Okay.
where they were talking about that, and then I Googled it after I watched the South Park episode. I was like, "That's weird," and then I went to, like, this event at my kid's school, and everybody was saying it, and I was like, just barely got, literate before I was immersed in it, because 'cause I'd be that guy going, "What's happening here?
Yeah,
six,
yeah, yeah.
seven, what is this?"
Right. Well, we've spent enough time on a fad that apparently your kids have told you is dead. But um, all that to say, we got sidetracked by 6, 7, talking about it's hard to pretend like
It
life is
is.
normal. And just like the last week, I've had to like recognize I just felt like very heavy. And I'm like, I'm starting to get like existential, like, am I in the right job? Am I on the right career path? I'm like, why do I
Am I living
feel
in the right country?
I'm like, why do I feel so dissatisfied? Thinking like there's something wrong with me. I'm making wrong choices. And then I'm like, wait, no, like our world is just going to hell. Like that's why it's hard to survive. Like that's why I feel this, I don't know, unsettledness
Yeah,
in me.
it's not quite restless, it's like because I don't wanna give into dread. It's not often dread, but it is, yeah, like,
It's a weight.
unsettledness.
And
Yes.
it's a heavy time to be alive right now, to be informed and to be a caring, dare I say, empathetic person. It's a heavy time right now to do that. And so, yeah, just trying to learn to be gracious with myself, and one foot in front of the other. And yeah, dude, it's tough. It's tough for sure.
So being a pastor, I'd be curious to this, like, in your day job, which is different than many people's, how do you navigate that and, like, the family, people who are in the church and people who you're personally very close with that you can't help but engage with, who, like, are apathetic to blinded to unwittingly supportive to potentially maliciously supportive? Like,
Yeah.
how do you like, I'm I've certainly not walked away from the faith or anything like that, but I have not been a regular church attender in a while, just to kinda have some time to cool off.
Hmm.
Every now and then I'll go, and it's nice, but, like, the weird bubble of many church environments that, because I mean, like, the current regime has massive support,
Hmm.
as a rule in especially Western churches. So, like, how have you been navigating that?
Yeah, dude. Um, I I don't know, probably not perfectly. It's been hard for sure, and I want to see if I can find this. No, probably not going to be able to. Um, but I saw somebody else say it, and I agree. It is. I felt seen by it. The They said the hardest part of, and this was another pastor. The hardest part of being a pastor is watching the gospel be weaponized to harm the most vulnerable, and by quote unquote my team. And
Yeah. Not a
Like
new
I'm
phenomenon, like, that's not a new thing, but we're living through such a like, an undeniable way, like
It's always been around, right? Like,
yes.
and literally always, I mean, at
Yes.
least since Constantine. Like, it's been around for, at least 1,700 years. There's always been, strands of Christianity that seek to weaponize it to oppress. In America, you had the abolitionists were a lot of them were motivated by the gospel of Jesus, but a lot of slaveholders were using the Bible to justify what they were doing. So it's not new in America. It's not new in the world. But in certainly in my lifetime, I'm going on 38 years old now. In my lifetime, this is the most power it has had. Right, like
Yes.
where it was fringe, and I would hear about it here or there, maybe even run into someone who thought like we should be heading where
Yeah, like the
we are now
homeschool
heading.
groups that are literally like, "We're training to take over the government for
Yeah,
Jesus."
and like looking back on it, like the high school that I went to was definitely I went to a Christian high school. They were definitely some like seven mountain mandatiness going on in there. Um, and so it was around, but it didn't have a mouthpiece in the president, the vice president. Um, and so um, So how have I been navigating it? I mean, it's been hard. I've said to a few people, like I want to say that I have no stone to throw at someone like you or even those who, in your words, you haven't abandoned the faith, but you haven't been a regular churchgoer. Like, totally get that. Like, I understand that. I respect that. And then I have friends who like may or may not still call themselves Christian, but they're by all accounts like they're not doing anything Christian culturally related because of where things are. And like I totally get that. I'm just like too stubborn to leave. And like uh, I left a church about 3 years ago. We if we were a sporting franchise, it would have been reported that we mutually agreed to part ways.
Right, I've done that a couple of times, yeah.
But like the truth is, and I don't know that they would say it this way, but like I was too vocal about justice, about what things that would be seen as progressive. I don't really even view myself as necessarily politically progressive, but when compared to like MAGA uh, politics and MAGA Christianity, yes, in that sense, I'm more on the spectrum towards the progressive side. So that's ultimately why we mutually agreed to part ways. So, but then I landed at this other church here, and like it's not like this church is some bastion of progressive Christianity. We had people who have left after the Charlie Kirk incident because we didn't say enough about it.
So they
eh,
left because
we should have like mourned him as a martyr is how they felt.
oof.
Um, and then we've had people who are so like those that is in the air where we are. Um, Personally, I'm just trying to like step into it. There are I mean he's not going to listen to this podcast. So like my dad uh, is very Trumpy, and like I'm on it's very much a wedge in our relationship. Um, and I'm trying to be intentional about for a while I avoided conversation with him because I didn't want to step into it. I feel like I had to do some work personally where I wasn't getting like so emotionally hot and bothered. Um, and so now like we've had some conversation. Actually, Charlie Kirk was the first one in a long time where we talked about anything political, and he brought
Okay.
it up, and I was like,
It's so wild how that, like how people, like, made that such an issue.
yeah, and like, and my dad is not the only one, but a lot of people who like all they didn't really know about him. They'd heard his name, but didn't know about him until he was murdered, and then
Kinda
decided
sold the story of who he was.
right and wanted, and then we're all in, and like by the end of like my conversation, or actually towards the beginning of the conversation with my dad, I'm like, how much Charlie Kirk did you listen to? And he's like, well, not really much. I'm like, okay, let me tell you some stuff. And he's like, well, I don't agree with that. And I'm like, good, me neither. um, and so I'm just like, I, it is, I'm I'm having to do a lot of work to not just get fiery. And there are some people who are like, burn it all down, including relationships and people. And I understand if you need to be there, but I'm like, again, I'm like too stubborn to do that. And so I'm trying to just be patient, be kind, be curious, but also be unapologetically what I think is Christ-like, and to call out the antichristness of the MAGA regime.
And I think that's key for me. And I mean, I know a lot of different listeners will be coming from different places and also have very different circumstances. Like I think if you don't feel that you're actually like safe or able to bear the burden of that, then yeah, that's fine. Take a step
Sure.
back. But like, yeah, I'm similar. I don't mind sometimes just not engaging. But like when people who are, I think, actually intelligent and who I think in some ways like are actually like decent folks who I know. Like sometimes I can't even help it. Like I don't want to have these conversations
Sure. Yeah.
because it's hard to like
Mhm.
w- no disrespect, just like straight up like to try to talk to a cult member is not fun.
Right.
Like in the amount of conversation and the amount of time it takes to kind of deprogram somebody, like I didn't go to a class. Like I know that in like vast majority, all likelihood, presenting somebody with uh reasonable arguments and facts won't change minds, especially
Mhm.
like if they are like around my generation and they're not like a boomer. Like boomers, I mean, I'm sure by the grace of God, blah blah blah, miracles can happen. But like if even if they're like in my generation or so, like people are so locked in, and if the dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and hundreds of like infractions that are like clearly demonstrable, like you can look these up, you can look up these clips, you can look up these interviews, you can look up these very clearly recorded crimes and immoral actions and all these things, and if none of that
Right.
has changed somebody's mind, me going, hey, those very obviously clear bad things are bad. Like, I got a lot. I got a lot. I don't need to
Yeah.
have those conversations. But sometimes people get so ridiculous, and I don't even think it's necessarily malicious. But I think people know me. The people who know me who are MAGA or MAGA adjacent, um, I think will sometimes, and I don't know if provoke is the right word, but they'll say something and kind of like see if I react or engage. Cause it's like, yeah, like if you're going to be a total, like, if you're going to say something totally ridiculous, like, yeah, I'm going to be like, that's nonsense. Like,
Yeah. 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 It's like I'm thinking about this in real time, but I think I'm gonna call it like Frank the Tank from Old School. Frank, like Frank Christianity. Um,
okay,
when he gets shot with a dart and he goes,
the
"You're
best scene in the
you're, cr-
movie.
you're crazy. I like you, but you're crazy, man." Like that's how I respond to the MAGA people in my life. Like you're crazy. Like I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like what you're saying is nonsense. Um, but I like you. I love you. And there are people who I don't like or love, and
Sure.
I don't engage. I don't engage with those people.
Yeah.
But there are people who are close to me between my church and between my family who I genuinely like, love, that they have even shaped me and formed me into who I am, and they have gone astray from that. And so I'm like, I'm going to point it out when it comes up. Like, this is contrary to what you have taught me. Um, what you say are our shared values. You sound crazy right now. I like you, but you're crazy.
Yeah. and I haven't in a while. I used to pray a lot for like uh the opening of the eyes, and I probably should do
Mhm.
that more often. But I'm like, what's it gonna take?
Yeah,
Like
and I
one day
don't
when the
know.
trials happen, hopefully, just like
Yeah,
people
and
like once
yeah,
they so clearly realize that it's the wrong side,
right.
hopefully not too many more social safety nets and people need to be destroyed before that, and families and lives and futures. Like
Yeah,
it,
it's not great. Like it is tough right now, and
it's
for the
not great.
understatement of the
2026, it's not
yeah,
great.
it's not great.
I'm hopeful
But
though too. I'm actually hopeful. It's
yes,
just such a insane and then you're like, oh, and I gotta do my grocery shopping and take my kids to basketball and
hmm
plan my podcast recording and try to get some sleep and exercise. Like
yep.
the Bluey thing is for real. Like, how do we do this and not
How
go
do I do this?
insane?
Um, to your point though about being hopeful, like I truly am, and I it is what I want to do. Try to do is be compassionate, to be close, to be proximate to those who are suffering most right now. Because, um, frankly, like my life, if I had no access to the news, my life is fine and
Yeah.
mostly unchanged. That's just the reality of it. That's not true for a lot of people. I know that. Um, so I want to be proximate to those people as best I can. I do also want to speak on behalf of those people who don't have a voice. Um, but when I look to the future, like we're in the middle, I think we're in a shift right now, a radical shift for Christianity, for America. Um, and I think those are good things. I think uh,
Agreed. It's just a very painful
it's a
place. And
pain.
just like
Yes.
culture and community in general. Like I have seen people come together in a way that I've never seen before. And it really is a beautiful thing. It's awful what's
hmm
brought us here. And I'm not glad about the things that have brought us here. But actually, this past Sunday, they've announced it. So I don't feel like I'm speaking out of turn here. I was with a community organization here in Kansas City. First time I've been in a church on a Sunday in a while. Um, Full auditorium, almost 400 people. And it was before the regular service. They were doing community defense training,
hmm
best practices, like internal stuff, like here's here's how we're going, like here's how to protect yourselves, here's how to protect your neighbors. If you're XYZ, here's different ways you can volunteer to be support for various things. And it was so encouraging. And I'm like, and the fact that it was in a church felt encouraging, but also very sad and hard because like again, for the vast majority, that's not how the church is behaving right now. In a
Sure.
moment of need, when we say, when like the teachings of Jesus ought to be the thing that is ostensibly driving the church of
Mhm.
Jesus, um, it was, yeah, it was very moving.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't, I can't attribute this quote to someone else because I forget who said it, and I know it's not me. But it is the optimist who shaped the future. And like I want to be hopeful and optimistic, and that's part of the reason why I like refuse to leave the churches that I've been a part of, is because at some point I do believe that like we're in the midst of a great revealing, and I think that what has become MAGA Christianity will be revealed to be Antichrist, and at that point those people will have to fall away or be converted to the way of Jesus. And like, I want to be, hopefully that happens in my lifetime. And I want to be there for it. I am compelled by the story of Jesus, our boy Prop, who, tell better stories. Like, I
Yeah.
think MAGA, MAGA is telling a story about the world, and it's not a good one. It's not a story that's compelling to me at all. But the story of Jesus, the way of Jesus, to me, that's a compelling story, and so I want to stick around and keep telling it.
No, and that's, it is such a compelling story. And any listeners who still resonate with the story of Jesus, like I I do think about them, and every now and then people will DM me or respond to posts. We have been doing a lot of movie content lately, but whenever we do, like the Cat Armus conversation was
Yeah.
so nice. Like it's the people who are in the church in churches who are promoting this wickedness. Like
Mhm.
that's not and I know the whole like blah blah blah. I can get into it like with Prop 2, like there is a lot that is undergirding a lot of churches that actually does support these things, and I think that
Right.
the revealing and hopefully the pruning, the like the revealing of like this is bad fruit, like this is so clearly bad fruit. The fact
Yeah.
that people I know who are intelligent, some of them who have degrees, it's like, how in the world can you not see that this is rotten fruit?
Yeah. Like,
How?
so as we record just a few days ago, Stephen Miller, who is like the bane of uh, my existence, but is maybe the president. Like he is running the
Low
show in a
key,
lot of
yes.
ways. Um, but he said we live in the real world that is governed by strength, force, and power. These are the iron laws of the world since the beginning of time. That is the story that he is telling and that MAGA is telling. And I think like you can believe that story and say a lot of people believe that story and are using that power right now against our marginalized neighbors, LGBTQ, people of color, immigrants. Um, we can believe that story, but say, well, the wrong people have the power. So we have to get the power and then use it against the bad guys. Neither of those stories is compelling to me. The story that says power laid down, power sacrificed, Philippians 2:3, have in you the same mind of Christ, like who, though he was God, did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but lowered himself. And because of this, is sitting at the right hand of God. To me, I can't shake that story. I get that not everybody is on board with that story or whatever, but to me, even just as a story, I think it's rooted in history, but whatever. But even just as a story, that's a more compelling story that God became man and then served the least of these to the point of his own death. And because of that, he's lifted up. To me, that's just a better story. That's the story that I want to live, and I want to win people to that story because I think it's a compelling story, and I think if we believe it to be the true power is found that way, our world looks way better than it does right now.
And the thing that I think might be tripping some people out, I've listened to conversations and have taken part in them, that a lot of people were raised with like, okay, this much, like this small amount is what's correct. Everything outside of it's bad. Like the way we see people embodying that story are people who very much like don't want anything to do with the church. And some people are like, hey, like what's going on? And it's
Yeah.
yeah, no, my like everything has expanded more. Like I don't like the small minded, like God is only happy, like God made everything and he's only happy with like this much.
Mm.
uh I feel like it kind of does come down to like power and keeping people in line. Like the world is big, history is long, and like God made it all for our good. So
Mhm.
no, I'm still very hopeful, and but I also do feel the burden, like you said. I feel like people like you and me, especially like white men in America who
Mhm.
have advantages and are connected to like various benefits. Like I almost do feel like a double weight of all this bad stuff's happening, and like you said, it's a thing that kind of like has shaped me and has caused a
Mhm.
lot of things to
Yep.
go in my favor that are clearly not that case for my neighbor, and
Yeah.
that's just the way it was.
Well, and that's the other thing too, like part of that stubbornness of not leaving. Like, my uh, black brothers and sisters, my Mexican brothers and sisters, like they can't step into the places that I can step into and say the things that I'm saying and get the same
True.
response. You know,
Yeah.
they'll be kicked out because, and like you follow me on social media, like I'm not shy about the fact that I think Trump is bad for both America and Christianity. Like that's not a secret that I'm trying to keep.
Shouldn't be a hot take.
It shouldn't be a hot take, but it is for some people that I'm around and they're like, "Oh, what?" Like and you're a pastor? And yeah, I am. And but but I have uh, an audience because I'm white, because I can speak the language, because I was raised in these environments. And so, do I feel at home here? No. For a lot of my life, for most of my life, I felt at home here. I don't anymore. But rather than leaving, I'm going to tell people like I'm not the one who changed. You changed. And either kick me out or like come back to the way of Jesus.
Nice. Yeah, no, I've been very tired for that, but maybe I'll come back soon.
And again, it's not like I don't think this is the call of every white man.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
but I mean, but it's also nice that you feel secure enough to like you found a local community where you're welcome enough to be like, "Oh, like I feel good about
Yeah,
like
and to be honest,
planting
like
there a little bit."
leaving the last church helped me become more secure. Like having gone through the rejection once, um, has helped where it's like, oh, like that sucked. I don't want to sign up to do that again. Like we were there for 12 years. Um, that was really hard to leave, but I'm still here. And so it's happened once and I've survived it. And so uh, if it like my regrets are like, oh, I should have probably been told to leave sooner. Like I probably should have been more vocal about what I feel like Jesus is actually about and calling people to. And so I don't know, like having faced the rejection once, kind of on the other side of it, I'm like, okay, like that wasn't fun, but I'm not as afraid of it anymore. And so the security comes from that pain.
Well, yeah, and you know that, like you said, you made it, and you just feel better about like, hey, like let me know off the jump. Like, are we gonna be okay here? Like,
Hmm.
yeah. No, I wonder what everything looks like in 10 years, and I am really hopeful. I just kinda wish we could skip past some of this, but it's also like I feel that way sometimes, probably when I'm being
Yeah,
selfish or when I'm just tired, and I'm
yeah,
like,
no,
"I gotta do all my normal crap tomorrow," and I'm still gonna probably run into does because I mean, my job is a high volume, like, I see a lot of people and a
hmm,
lot of people um who could be very siloed if they wanted to, or if it benefits the powers that be, and it often does. So most people are either pro what's going on or just totally unaware, or like, oh yeah, like something's going on in Minnesota, I heard, but like, and it's just tiring.
hmm,
It's just tiring. But when I well rested, um, do a little bit of exercise, have some good food, have some coffee. I'm like, oh, like we actually do get to be a part of shaping whatever comes next.
hmm,
It's not a bad thing that the white evangelical mega monoculture is kind of going down in flames. It's not bad that the systems of oppression and greed and exploitation that the American experiment has produced are failing miserably. Like it sucks to be here for it.
hmm,
Um, Even in a position of privilege, it's not a fun thing to do. But like in 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, like America will look different. The Western church will look different and we get to shape that. So I I yeah, I want to stay encouraged, stay around good people and do things like at a good pace. Like
yeah,
I gave up trying to change everybody's mind.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to talk to you. Like, but
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I do want to do the things I can, especially with the privilege I have. And it's so exciting seeing so many people who like have been brought together and who are just so desperately seeking community. So like here in KC, there are a number of different groups that like I'm plugged in with now that I didn't even know existed before. Maybe they did. Maybe all this crap created some of these things, but just all these community programs where we are meeting each other's needs and looking out for one another, things that I was always told, oh, the church is going to do that. Like, and
Yeah,
we get to be a part of this going
yep,
forward. So I'm excited and hopeful, and yeah, hopefully we get some young people in good positions, and not to like take the power back, but to kind of steer us in directions that will actually be of benefit to as many people as possible.
yeah. Yeah, I'm hopeful for that too. And I know like there's a for there are people who have helped me to like stay there, and some public voices that have helped me to stay encouraged, and grounded in a hopeful faith, and in a hopeful mindset. And and I think lament is an important part of that.
Yeah.
Um, and like Ben Kramer, who's over on Substack and Instagram and all the places, pastor I think out in Idaho, easy to find. But he recently wrote on Substack about how like lament is a way forward, and so like following his work. And you mentioned, I think before we started recording, that Joash Thomas is going to be a future guest.
Yeah, I just got his book.
Um, but he following his work, he's another one who has helped me. Jared Stacy,
Yeah.
his work, as well. So there are people out there who are putting in the work, who are, um, they're not pie in the sky naive about what's going on. They're calling out the injustice of what's happening, but they're also pointing to a better future. And so those are the voices that I want to fill up my head with, because it's very easy to just be in the doom cycle and, fall into despair. I feel that pull daily, multiple times daily. But, yeah, trying to fill up my eyes and ears with those who are clear minded about what's happening, willing to lament what's happening, but also pushing forward to something that's better.
Yeah. No, agreed. And I try to be that some here with the show. Like you said, I really do love the substantive cinemas. That's some of my favorite stuff to do. But whenever we get a good guest, and a lot lately that have been writing books, um, it's those have been such fun conversations. Or Joseph, you actually, that was a great conversation. I don't think he was on for a book, but I got a lot of good feedback on that. Like trying to one of the things that I'm trying to do is just like platform voices for people who are curious and not even like seeking specifically like um a faith identity, but like looking for people in the faith community who aren't crazy. Like because that's an
Mhm.
important part of society. And what wherever you end up falling or whatever your spiritual practice is and the regularity, like I I hope to continue to kind of platform some of those people, just like you said, say, hey, like check out these people. There are a lot of good people doing good work and not just psychos seeking power.
Right. Hard as it
Um,
is to believe sometimes.
yeah, and feel free like to message me, like because I still get catalogs from a number of the publishers, but even some of those have gotten it's not bad. I love a lot of the publishers that work with us. If anybody's listening from a publishing company, hopefully it's not you. But like I yeah, it's easy to go to the thing that people want to hear versus maybe what
Mhm.
is best for our collective
Sure.
spirits.
Yep. Yep.
What I mean, we're close to 200. I don't know exactly what episode this is going to be. It's going to be like one of the mid 190s, man. Can you? I mean, if we would have been keeping up, we would have hit 200 long ago. We'd be on the road to 300, but it feels like a milestone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you're the main drive. I was here for, I don't know, a couple dozen episodes, I guess, or something. Not a huge chunk, but that does feel like a milestone to be at 200. What does that bring up in you as the mainstay at the substance hitting 200?
I mean, it does feel good. Just look every now and then I'll look back and go, "Oh yeah, we talked to that person," because I follow most of the people on social media, and
Hmm.
we've been doing it since like 2018, 2019 now, and that's a while. And again, doing it that long, probably should have more episodes, whatever. But trying to be focused and having good ones that are listenable. But also sometimes when I go back and listen to the old ones, I'm like, "Oof, these don't sound anywhere as good or as clean and clear as the new
Yeah.
ones." But
Yeah.
like honestly, for the most part, just proud of like the conversations we were able to have. Like we've never had like 20,000 listeners or whatever, but like ha- trying to start those conversations and build relationships. Like there's a couple of people that we've had on the show a number of times who every now and then, like I'll get a text or an email, or a listener will be like, "Oh, I listened to this like really old episode because it came up on my feed and it was really encouraging." Like I want to put those good things out, and for me on the movie side, it's exciting. Like I think I told you some, like in my personal and professional life, trying to do more work in those fields. Like
Yeah.
that's been fun too. Like my faith is very formative. It's not something I ever imagine I will like let go. And I loved how I've been able to, because there's some podcasts that are just like we've talked about that are just like, let's Jesus juke the most like
Right.
popular thing. Like, what does the gospel have to say about Avatar 3? Like, not interested in that at all. But I've connected with so many cool people of faith who are in the filmmaking or the film critic space, who maybe not everybody knows is a person of faith. And like, those have been awesome relationships. And just look forward to continuing to see what what opportunities come up in those fields as well.
Yeah. So what you're saying is the real milestone is the friends we made on the way.
It is very much so. And the listeners, like it's like I said, we're never gonna be the number one on the charts, but it's very cool to be a part of a community. And maybe if we get other people join in various roles, like I've had a few people ask about Discord. I've thought about it. I'm in other Discords for other things, but that just seems kind of to do it well. That seems like a very large task that
Yeah.
I'm not up to at
Yeah.
the moment. But yeah, no, it's looking forward. Did I tell you? Have we announced? I don't think. I'll be a little coy. Something. What we're doing for episode 200 is locked in. And I haven't recorded it yet, but I think it'll be a very fun episode that'll bring a lot of different things together, a lot
Okay.
of themes and interests, and I think it'll just be a very fun episode to record.
Yeah. Well, coming up soon, 200. It is. I mean, you've put in the work, and I joke about the real milestone being the friends we made along the way, but like that's how we connected. Like I think I tuned into an episode because actually it was an Alan Noble episode
Yes.
when he
Also
came
has a
out
new
with
book coming out.
yeah. Um, and listen to that, entered a giveaway, won a giveaway. But we connected over social media through that. I have kind of been talking ever since, and then weaseled my way into editing for you, or got suckered into it. I'm not sure how.
You off that was when Trevor left, and I put out
Yeah.
I put out that episode going, Trevor and Vince are leaving, and prayers up, I guess. Thoughts and prayers for the future of the show. And immediately you're like, hey
Please,
man,
for the
I've been listening for a while. If you want, I can help. I'd be like, accepted, done.
substance. Yep.
You are editor
Um,
Dave now. And then you're like, actually, Philip, I'm going to grad school. You need to learn how to edit. And I was like, cool.
Yep. Uh, But yeah, so I mean, it's been cool. But yeah, excited for 200. That sounds like a fun episode. Definitely ready for whatever you got for us.
Yeah, it will be a substantive cinema. Yeah, I don't want to say too much. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's something that I thought about doing for a while, but for various reasons it didn't seem like it was the right time, and I think 200 might be the time. And I
All right.
genuinely am trying to figure out what we're going to do after that. Like,
Yeah.
do I keep limping it along the way? Do I switch it to substantive cinema with bonuses of like substance episodes with interviews with authors, pastors, teachers, activists, what have you? Um, or do I do the season model? Do you ever listen to podcasts that are in seasons?
There's a few. Yeah.
I wonder what kind of heat like that. What do you think? Pros and cons. Pros and cons that with me real quick here. Like, because like, how long will it take me to bank up? Like, I don't know, 8 or 10, and then you can release them like week by
Mhm.
week once they're out, but then you got to build that bank back up again.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the challenge. But like having a break in between is fine. So like if you I think the pro is on your end. Like you get 10 to 12, right? You can do that in a month plus 2 months, right? Because they don't all have to be, you're not doing a quick turnaround
Sure.
necessarily, right? So do that in 2 months, 3 months maybe. Um, and then even if you're like, you get half of them edited and then start your release.
Release.
And then you're editing the rest as they come out, um, as like the other ones come out. And now you've got the last six or whatever are done, scheduled, and you're ready to go. So you got 6 weeks to start banking up some more. And now, but say instead of 6 weeks, you take 8 to 12. So there's a little break in there and you do it all over again. So I don't know. I think the recording can happen in big chunks, but then like the editing, you can do a little bit more
Yeah.
slowly.
Yeah. I don't know. Just the workflow. We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. It's just about finding the pattern, that works.
Are you got anything cooking up here? I know you said maybe youth group. It seems like you have the bug a little bit.
I absolutely have the bug. I'm trying to be more disciplined, like even towards the end of last year. And some of that is just like mental health wise, like, because the things that we do, you and I, like the things that we're pulled to do, podcasting, whatever, like it all interacts with social media, which then gets me sucked into like the negative news cycle.
Yeah.
So like towards the end of last year, I kind of like put everything aside, and I'm like, I check my personal accounts like maybe once a week. I
Whoa, once
do,
a week.
yeah.
Nice.
I do run youth group memes and um, like just a little account for our church, the youth group here. So like I'm on those, um, but I log into and log out of my personal
Nice.
accounts um, about once a week. Sometimes I'm a weak man. Sometimes I do it more often, but that's like what I'm hoping to be at. Um, but yeah. I mean, if you're not already youth group memes, not to like pat myself on the back. It's a pretty big account. We have like over 300,000 followers, but it's fun. It's just goofy stuff happening over there. I did over my Christmas break. I uh, scheduled out a bunch over on my Substack. So that's Hallahan, HALLAHAN.substack.com. And as we record, that's like good for the next like 6 to 8 weeks. I don't know when this will go out, but
Probably
uh,
soon.
some stuff out there. I wrote some thoughts on Wake Up Dead Man.
So
Um,
yeah, I was gonna ask you shout outs. What have you been reading and listening to, watching
yeah.
lately?
So wrote about Wake Up Dead Man. Loved that. Just as a Knives Out movie, I thought it was great, but also the handling of Christianity, I thought was uh, clearly done by someone who knows the game. uh, and as Tyler Huckabee in his interview with Ryan Johnson, like Ryan Johnson is a former youth group kid, and it shows that he knows what he's talking about. But I just think the picture of Father Judd, I loved Father Judd and like his depiction of Christianity. Um, in a few weeks, I have a post coming out about The Wild Robot, and I got around to watching that for the first time. That was really good.
Big
Uh,
hit with the kids?
what's that?
Was that a big hit with the kids?
It was, yeah. And like if you have kids, like watch it with them. Like I think they'll love it. But there's definitely like there's a deepness to the story that it's telling that your kids may or may not get, but I think is a beautiful story. And Project Hail Mary, the novel
Oh,
by Andy
nice.
Weir that in a couple months here will be a movie starring my boy Ryan Gosling.
One of the best to do it. Doesn't get enough. Like, he's just like Brad Pitt. Like, he's so pretty that, like, people don't take him seriously. Like, he's one of our great actors, genuinely.
He really is, yeah. And it's funny, like my wife and I and a bunch of friends, like I have a man crush on Ryan Gosling. Like I'm not ashamed to say that, and it is because he's very attractive, but also because he's such a good actor and just believable in like all the things. Um, and he's got range. I joked.
Truly.
I don't know if you saw what was the moon land Apollo, where he played
First Man?
Neil Armstrong, First Man. Um, did you see that one?
Not in its entirety. I've seen it in chunks. I
And
need
to
to
be honest,
watch
like
it.
probably my least favorite Ryan Gosling movie is
Okay.
First Man. But like Neil Armstrong, I guess this is like true to his character, or whatever. Just a very uncharismatic man, and
Sure.
Ryan Gosling just exudes charisma. And joked with my wife, I'm like, I think he did this movie to show he can also be not charismatic. Uh, uh, but I read that book, Project Hail Mary, and really, really good book. If you plan on seeing the movie, I suggest you pick up that book. Great read.
And if you do read the book, I'll give a plug. I loved The Martian, both the
Mhm.
book and the movie, but the first time I saw the movie, I made the major mistake to I feel like I finished the book
Mm.
like 12 hours before I saw the movie. And I
Yeah,
thought the movie was trash the first time I
sure,
saw the
sure.
movie. So,
Yeah,
if you're gonna watch the movie when it comes out and you wanna read the book soon, or wait a year and then read the book afterwards.
right. Yeah, I finished just before Christmas, so I'll have like a 3 month buffer before I see the movie at least. So I feel like I'm in a safe zone there.
No, that's perfect. What have I been reading lately? I've been reading a few things like advanced copies of stuff that will probably be on the show in the future. Um, the wife of one of my buddies wrote, one of my internet friends, who's also the host of Bat and Spider podcast, who the other co-host has been on our show a few times. His wife, Melissa Mendez, I believe is her name, wrote an incredible graphic novel. Wrote and drew an incredible graphic novel called The Wait, that I read over the winter break. Just devastating, but also very beautiful, wonderful
Mm.
stuff. I like that. And it's like a thick boy too. It's like 500 or 600 pages, but
Okay.
that was really wonderful. And I'll say I wasn't quite as surprised because last year, 28 years later, was a surprise, one of my favorites of the year. But uh what is it now? I don't know. Last weekend or 2 weekends ago, saw 28 years later the Bone Temple, and it was great.
Mm.
Didn't quite hit the highs of last year's movie, but like bang, like really, really good. These are smart, like they're almost like people argue, oh, like it's not really a zombie movie, but like we've moved past so much of like the traditional things you would think would happen in movies like that now. And it's so interesting. It is also very brutal and intense and ugly and looking at like the worst of humanity, but
Sure.
also the best and the hope. And we might actually be covering 28 years later on the show soon, but I just thought the Bone Temple was so smart and
Mm.
so entertaining and fun, funny a bit as well, but just so humane and life affirming and like the film 28 Days Later back, I don't know, like 2001 or 2002 that like changed zombie movies, reinvigorated them, but like very much changed them is now like this deeply like beautiful humanistic like ode to hope, and it's so interesting,
Yeah.
and I love it. And if that's that, it won't be for everybody. There, it's very gory. There's quite a bit of uh intense male nudity here and there with these people running around. Um, but yeah, the character of Samson and his arc in the two movies, and I'm very interested to see what happens in the next one. Like,
Mm.
is so interesting. Um, and I feel like there's something else, but I can't remember. But that's what I've been doing lately.
Those are some good shout outs there. Plenty
Oh, I'll
for me
shout
as
out
well.
this. Actually, no, there is plenty of substance here. Future guests, very soon, probably on this feed. My friends Kev and Anna Gould, who I know from the 70mm Discord, they recently launched a podcast. That's just like my favorite new thing. Like sometimes, if you're in like my friends have podcasts kind of zone, like people will launch and you'll listen every now and then. But their new podcast is my favorite thing. It's called Laurie Strode Trap House, and it's like 2000 and on horror
Okay.
movies,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's just so fun, like, the post 9/11, like, what has happened to America kinda stuff seeping into horror. There's a lot of remakes. The first month is all remakes, and it's been fun to revisit, mostly fun to revisit these movies. Some of them are good, some of them are not, but, like, honestly that's funny because I also said 28 years later, The Bone Temple, like, horror movies in general, like when things are bad, are a very interesting way to kind of process, or not even process, but to kind of like have a catharsis and engage with some of these
Sure.
things
Yep.
in an external way that's very interesting. I'm
Yeah.
sure somebody who's very smart has written a paper about that, but that's what I've been on lately.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Well, Dave, it's good to just kind of decompress and chat and have you back on. You've become a part of the DNA of the show, and I'm sure as long as it exists, uh, you'll have some sort of effect on it. And I do love every now and then I'll get a message from you being like, "Hey, listen to this episode, liked it." Like, as we've gotten more sporadic, we still do hear from people sometimes, but I always love hearing, as somebody who was like a part of how it was made, I always love hearing what you think of some of those.
Yeah. Yeah. Happy to be back. It's good to talk to you and just a touch base and like you said, decompress and process through the craziness. We don't have a Bluey episode yet, so I guess we just have to rely on each other.
Maybe we could just write that on spec and have a talented person animate that, but I feel like that's more work than I'm able to put in right now.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So there you have it. Really good catching up with Dave. Always like talking to him. Every now and then we both have a lot of drive time in our job. So sometimes we will call each other and chat while he's delivering packages or I'm on my sales routes here in Kansas City, and it's always good to chat with him. So I don't know how this particular episode will land with just about anybody who hasn't been following us for a while. I mean, I had a wonderful time talking. If you just somebody is looking to hear two fellas chat with each other, you could send them this episode. But one of the best ways to support a podcast you love, and hopefully this is one you like, is to listen and to share it with your friends. Like I said, I don't know if this particular episode is the most shareable to people who haven't already been listening, but pick a favorite episode of yours out of the library. Maybe share that this week. If you do, tag us, and if we see that, we'll interact. If any listeners watch along with our substantive cinema episodes and you're on Letterboxd, reminder to use the substantive cinema tag. That's substantive space cinema, and we can see your reviews. If they're on an episode we have recorded or about to record, we can maybe put that on the show. Or if you're just watching something you love and think it falls under the heading, tag it with that and we can interact with them on the show. Recently, Justin logged the Passion of Joan of Arc, quote, "I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world." And that is John 16:33. That's a very substantive cinema, very on the nose. But Passion of Joan of Arc, that would make a wonderful substantive cinema episode one day. We should do more like old movies. I would love to do that one day. So thank you, Justin. If you're on Letterboxd and are a avid user, substantive cinema is the tag. All right, creeping up on 200. Got a lot of very cool stuff on the calendar here, but I'm pretty sure if everything goes according to plan, the next episode that you can look for here on your feeds is a substantive cinema with writer, interviewer, film advocate. He's done a lot of really cool supplemental features and essays and commentaries lately. Brandon Straisnig will be joining me to talk Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later. It was one of my favorites of last year. I was expecting it to be good because it's Danny Boyle, but I was not expecting it to just knock my socks off, which it did. And Brandon loves it as well. Brandon did a really wonderful interview with Danny Boyle for Letterboxd and has talked about it before. So very excited to have him join me here very soon. So if you want to watch that, log it Substantive Cinema. And if we see that, may interact with your interviews on the show. So until then, I've been your host, Philip Marinello, saying thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time on The Substance.